Introducing Psychology for Today with host Alan Hedberg, PhD, clinical psychologist. Watch it on CentralValleyTalk.com the first Wednesday of the month at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Also connect with the program on YouTube, Psychology for Today. Dr. Hedberg is also on YouTube under Dr. Teach Me to Parent and Boys to Men.
This is Central Valley Talk for a Wednesday, the 9th of February, 2022. Welcome. I'm Austin Reed, coming to you from our Tower District studios inside the Mike Briggs building. Thank you for being with us. Hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Austin Reed On Air. Our final guest today, joining us live, is Ed Crane, alongside
Zern, my service dog.
And we're going to get a shot of him throughout the interview. Ed, welcome back to Central Valley Talk.
Hey, it's an honor and a privilege to be here and to get the word out on some good subjects. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Now, you are all about epilepsy awareness.
Correct.
And you have epilepsy.
Yeah, I currently am 64 years old, and I've had epilepsy for the past 34 years of my life. So I deal with epilepsy constantly, every day, dealing with seizures and all of the different side effects that occur due to epilepsy. So, and with International Epilepsy Day, I'm involved with a number of organizations to get more awareness out to folks.
So tell me a little bit about Monday, this coming Monday. What's happening?
Monday is the major day that epilepsy is promoted and epilepsy awareness is promoted around the world. International Epilepsy Day. It's always the second Monday in February, and it's an opportunity for individuals like myself and organizations to try and get out and get the word out, to try and educate. You know, we are trying to educate the public to give them a better understanding of epilepsy, and at the same time provide information that hopefully we can also educate the epilepsy community and lead them into paths like I have today that could be helpful to them.
So tell me a little bit about your struggles with epilepsy for folks out there that don't really know what epilepsy is.
I am somebody who luckily for the first 30 years of my life was healthy, didn't have any major health problems. And then I was working, at the time was in one of my home offices giving a presentation up in front of a crowd of about 30 or 40 people when all of a sudden I went unconscious. And add to that, on the way down to the floor, my head hit the desk in front of me. So the panic was there was blood everywhere. And epilepsy was almost secondary. They didn't know why I fell, but the blood was a tough situation for them. And that was my first seizure ever in life. And, of course, a lot of time has gone since then. Over that first year, the number of seizures increased from what was just maybe once every 2 months to, before you know it, it was happening monthly and then weekly, and then it got to a point where I was having seizures frequently. Okay. Now, I was able to continue to function. I, of course, from the first visit, was taken to the emergency room and was referred to a neurologist to evaluate my condition, and went through a series of tests that just about everybody out there who has epilepsy goes through, and came out with some good and some bad information. Number one, we were never able to determine the cause, what brought on the seizures, and out there about 2/3 of individuals that are dealing with epilepsy never find a cause for the onset of seizures in their life. And what they did at that time was put me on a series of medications, and I was able to recover and more or less go back to work. Most of my seizures were under control, and I was able to get used to life in a level of normalcy, okay? What I didn't know then was there were other things happening in my life that were connected to the epilepsy that were making life difficult for me, okay? I had balance issues, so I was falling. And I wasn't sure what to associate that to, but in addition to a grand mal seizure where somebody is able to see something happen to an individual, there are many partial seizures out there, and the body is reacting all the time. I've got parts of my body that shake at different times for the same reason. My brain is acting in a certain way. So I had balance issues that were not under control and were providing physical injuries to me because they were without warning. I had falls and injuries and a few broken bones over the next few years. Along the way, anxiety issues out there because of not knowing what's going to happen next. And I was able to function to a point where I continued working at that level for about another 12 years before it was so bad that I had to go out on disability. And before I even went out on disability, the neurologist had referred me to a neurosurgeon, and we sat down and he said, Ed, we have identified an area of your brain that is responsible for the bulk of your seizures. It's your left temporal lobe, which is right here on the side of my ear. And he said, we can go in and take out a piece of tissue. And he said, it's about the size of your pinky, the top of your pinky. He said, the good news is that should reduce the frequency of seizures. You're not going to ever be able to be cured or walk away from seizures, but this should reduce the frequency of the seizures. Mm-hmm. He said the bad news is the area of the brain we are operating on affects your short-term memory. Mm. And he said what that means is that you are going to lose short-term memory. And short-term memory is everything that's going on around me throughout the day before it gets into long-term memory. It's in short-term memory. So that the result of the surgery was meeting somebody and being given a name. Something as complicated as a name could be difficult, if not impossible, to remember. A dog's name. It took me a month to focus on it enough to be able to memorize it at that point. And he explained to me that there are ways of getting around it. He said almost anything that happens in your life that is emotional will automatically go from where it enters your brain in the area we're talking, where the surgery is, and it will automatically go into long term. So if all of a sudden you had a fall or an injury, or you went to an event and it was something that was very, very pleasing and you enjoyed, or something happened, there are many times that these will go into long-term memory right away and you won't have any problem. But almost everything else in life, he said, you will, for the most part, not remember your life from the day on the table moving forward. So when I try and look back for the past 22 years, there is just a fraction of what's happened to me that I can remember. And that's a tremendous burden in addition to seizures, is memory along the way there. There are medication issues. There are probably 24 medications for people with epilepsy, and like anything else, everybody is different, the human body, and we all have different reactions and experiences with it. So that What works many times for one patient doesn't work for somebody else, and what should work for you doesn't always work for you, or what is going to be the best to reduce seizures can also complicate other organs in your body. So something as simple as medications can be a problem. And make it quickly, depression is a battle that we fight, and have issues with family and friends. And I had brain surgery, so brain surgery is something that can be a tremendous challenge in life along the way there, you know. But coming today, I wanted to talk about that, but I wanted to just quickly talk about, there's a number of organizations, there's 5 organizations out there that I think everybody who has epilepsy or their family and friends should be able to reach out for support, for information along the way. And I just wanted to name those organizations. Number 1 is the Epilepsy Foundation. Online, easily accessible, has tremendous information right there that you can get everything from medications to seizures to type of seizures, just about any question. The tough point there is it's all available online or through a telephone call. It's not as easy sometimes to get through to somebody, okay? Second is there's a organization that's called the International League Against Epilepsy. Now, they're an organization that automatically links epilepsy organizations together, so that if you're looking for a nonprofit organization that might be helpful to you, or a medical organization dealing with epilepsy, the International League Against Epilepsy is an organization online that has resources that are very, very easily accessible out there, okay? One of the best for me is an organization called My Team Epilepsy. This is an on-site, on Facebook and on the internet organization, and it's a social network for those people with epilepsies, their families, their loved ones. They have more than 98,000 members on there right now. So if you want to get on a site, I'm on that site on a regular basis, and you have a question about yourself or your daughter or your husband, and it's about anything on there, types of seizures, doctors, those types of things, here is a resource where you can simply get on and, on one hand, ask questions, get on, put experiences down, and let people respond. It's a tremendous resource for anybody out there in the epilepsy community to be able to get answers and hopefully solutions along the way.
Yeah, that's great.
And then there are epilepsy support groups, regional. I mean, there's more than a dozen of them here in the state of California. I belong to just a handful of them out there where I communicate online with them, attend meetings online, do those types of things online. And all of that, just these 4 organizations, I said 5, I meant 4, organizations can answer tremendous amount of questions out there, and also lead people to places that are going to be helpful to them, you know, along the way. Something that helped me with this was 2 years ago, I'm currently on a dozen medications, 6 of them for epilepsy and a couple for other things, and I've been paying tremendous amounts of money out there for that, you know. And I reached out to my epilepsy team and said, hey, listen, I'm looking to improve this overall. And I got enough answers out there that I researched a couple of the directions that I was pointed to, and I brought my prescription bill from almost $1,500 down to under $100 on there from different sources.
Wow.
Okay. And in there it even tells you that depending on your condition, besides these private sources out there that are mostly pharmaceutical companies, There are regional sources such as in different states. If you can't afford, there are ways to go. And I found ways after just going on and doing some basic research how to make that easier. And I think that's something that can be helpful to anybody out there. It's not only epilepsy, but anybody who's currently, on prescriptions and somehow dealing with the costs to deal with the burden out there.
It's stressful and expensive.
I also, I wish I could tell you, I've been lucky now for almost 20 years with three dogs, three professionally trained dogs that help me with my epilepsy. And they've changed my life. They've given me back my independence out there. And I recommend people investigating that. Unfortunately, right now, in light of the virus, most of these organizations are so far back in waiting lists that it's difficult to apply and then have a realistic date to get a dog. I don't want to discourage people with that, but I do want to make the point that a professionally trained service dog that is professionally trained to help somebody with epilepsy can give someone back their independence. That's what happened to me all those years ago and has made it possible for me to continue with that today. So again, that's part of all of the information that I like to make sure we get out. Zern comes from an organization called Canine Partners for Life.
That's your shirt, huh?
That's my shirt, and they're in Cochranville, PA. I'm a member of Canine Partners family, and I have nothing but the best to say from them, the best to say from the partners that they provided me, and if there was any way I could be supportive of them, that's what I try and do. And at the same time, I know that everybody else they're helping along the way is an Ed Crane that was reaching out 20 years ago and can make a difference in life. So these are the points I wanted to make about International Epilepsy Week, to try and maybe educate the community a little bit, get a little bit more interest, or hopefully lead some folks out there, whether they have epilepsy or they know somebody who does, in a direction to get some answers. That was the goal today.
And again, it's Monday, Valentine's Day.
Correct.
February 14th. So thank you. Good to see you.
An honor and a privilege, and Zern and I are truly grateful.
And he's been napping the last 10 or so minutes, so
I'll call him relaxed.
Yeah, he's super chill. Thanks again, and Happy New Year too.
Yes.
I'm Austin Breed. Thanks for watching Central Valley Talk.
Introducing Psychology for Today with host Alan Hedberg, PhD, clinical psychologist. Watch it on CentralValleyTalk.com the first Wednesday of the month at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Also connect with the program on YouTube, Psychology for Today. Dr. Hedberg is also on YouTube under Dr. Teach Me to Parent and Boys to Men.